All right. Hi. Hello to everyone. This is a beautiful, beautiful day, and we're gonna visit. My name is Andrea Mai, and with me is Katrin Seewaldt, and that's the English way of pronouncing it. The German way, I will leave to her beautiful German accent. Katrin, how do you say it?
So in German, you would say Katrin Seewaldt, and it
Seewald,
means lake forest.
Lake Forest. Oh my goodness. Yes. And like, I think that's so fitting because you've shared with me how you walk very regularly, almost daily, it sounds like, in the forests near you. And so we're here today. We're just going to have this beautiful conversation around your soul journey, your spiritual journey, your experience of awakening and what that means to you, and talk a little bit about the offerings from your heart, what you're bringing into the world in this new season, in this new beautiful world that we're creating together. And I think we met, like, I can't even connect the dots back, but we met through one of Anelia Benz's groups, maybe on Telegram. And I can't recall how it all came together, but we did come together, and we've known each other now for, I think, since maybe this summer sometime. So yeah. So welcome to this beautiful conversation, Katrin.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm very, very happy to be here and to have this opportunity to have not only a chat with you, which I always appreciate so much, but also to share it with the world. And I'm very excited about what we can have be emerging and where this little journey leads us to.
Yeah. It's really cool because you sent me a note yesterday or day before about like some really cool thing that you kicked off, in your area and building local community, and that's really been on your heart, and so important, right? It's so important. I'm really feeling the call to do that here as well. Kind of been avoiding it, but it feels like it really is the time to bring home these conversations so that it's not all over the internet. How we can anchor this beautiful awakening, this beautiful higher frequency in our local communities. And I want to get into that in a little bit, but I would love for people to know about you. Like, how did this start for you? When did it start for you? Just really tapping into your heart.
That's a beautiful question and a beautiful topic. I love to talk about it because it's all emerging so in such an urgent and clear way. I've been always someone following my heart. I couldn't do otherwise. I did so many things and where people said, "Oh no, you can't do this," and I didn't care because I couldn't do otherwise. So I always followed my heart, but now it is kind of calling even more loudly, and it's such a clear path. And it started all with this Telegram groups, and I mean, I've always been a bridge builder, bringing people together and being in this group and in this, but now it's kind of getting in the neighborhood. And a couple of months ago, I was kind of desperate, and I thought, oh, this can't be possible that I'm the only one here. I'm in a little district in the north of Berlin, in Germany, and I felt I was the only one almost, and I only know people all over the world, but no one in my neighborhood. And then all of a sudden, it popped up. It just started happening when the time was right, and the time is right now. And that's also a big topic, because I notice more and more that the surrendering to trusting this existence that's now guiding us in its divine way, that it brings us together when it's supposed to happen. And I mean, not everyone is so extroverted as I am, and we would have, otherwise we would have 100 groups in every neighborhood. But so I feel the calling to talk to people, and then the people are coming to me even. So I just meet them in the forest. I think one day I met 3 people in the forest whom I met months before, and who approached me to say, you've been working in this organic food shop and you were fighting for the no mask wearers, and you kind of were protecting them. And so 3 people in one day. And then that was within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, it just happened that this group started building, and then we had the first meeting, and it was so heartwarming.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. It gives me goosebumps. Really juicy. You know, I haven't quite had that experience yet, but I've kind of been tucked away in my office a lot. And it's the other day, it's a little bit inspired by you, I think. So I go to this park about a mile from my house and walk there a lot. And I love doing just flowing qigong movement. And I look like a crazy person. I'm the only person in the park. I thought, what if I just put a little sign out that said, join me, right? Just join me and see what happens,
Beautiful.
and I tried to make it very complicated. I'm like, oh, I need to put up, links and blah, blah, blah. What if I just put out a sign in the park and say, join me, for gentle meditative movement, right? And see what happens. So that's after the holidays, I'm going to be gone here, but that's kind of where I would like to go locally. It's just a gentle place to begin, right? And see what happens. See who might be in my nearby, right here in my local neighborhood, and then expand it out. But yeah, so I love it. And I love the way you say, I go for a walk in the forest, I mean, that's so very, it sounds very storybook, right? From my perspective, from my American ears. I love it. So I just meant to say that, but yeah, so you you say you've always been following your heart, right? Doing this thing that there's no other choice for you to do but follow your heart. And that takes a level of courage, a level of bravery. It has, especially, in times, to be sort of the oddball, right? The one who didn't fit in. Sometimes we fit into environments, that seem fairly traditional, fairly accepted and normal, but we're still sort of a little bit of the odd one, who's doing their own thing. And so you have been kind of finding your way through all of this, right? Who do you want to show up now as? And I would love for you to share about that. I mean, you've got your translation work and your YouTube channel and some of that, but anything else that you want to talk about?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's big. You made a huge frame now, but I liked it when you said, yeah, the odd one. It's interesting because I think that was what immediately emerged with me, was that I think we all, I mean, everyone who's listening to us now, and this community of people who are waking up to to all kind of things, and you all know what we mean by this, I think. And I think we all, or most of us, were the odd ones before, and now all the odd ones meet together, and we all of a sudden we notice, no, we are not the only ones. That's kind of, it's a huge movement, actually. And I mean, I've been lucky. I think I'm very fortunate because in my oddness, I have this gift of kind of being charming and not diplomatic, but in a direct and honest and authentic way, with a big smile, so people couldn't be cross with me. So I see that as a very fortunate gift, and not everyone has this. And I only very late started to using it well. In my first 20, 30 years, I used it to get through, with the least necessary effort to get through all these things. And it worked out very well, but I kind of missed the purpose. And by following my heart, I followed, rather, in these first 30 years, I rather followed the joy, or the fun, actually, not even the joy, more the fun. And wow, I really lived kind of so much excitement for 3 lives, I think, so much. So I didn't leave anything out. And then came a point in my mid-30s, and that was the turning point when I noticed, hey, I have these gifts for a reason, and I can just joy around and play around, but I can also see what it's good for, and what can I do with this. And then I started following not particularly my heart only, but also calls from outside. So I found myself being in very different situations wherever I've been called. A theater. One summer I worked in a theater, and I kind of saved them regarding the many things, because people missed out, and it was just the start of the season. And I always was a good like a firefighter, I was there where I'm needed.
Yeah.
And that always felt very good for me, to be needed. And then, but this also was only an experience, and only very short time ago, I started to really listen more deep within, and to say, okay, but what can I really bring to the world? What is my real gift? And not only hopping around and helping single parties or people. And that point really got started only 1.5 years or 2 years ago now. And I think this is for many of us, when all this world situation started to become so crazy. And then it really popped in, this heart calling. And my heart told me, I worked for a public TV station of Germany. So really it was kind of, I couldn't be there one more day longer when I noticed what's going on there, to put in news to people that I found totally wrong. And so I needed to leave. I knew I need to leave without having a plan B. And then it all started happening. And that was the time where I really started to only do this, nothing more. So not anymore, okay, I do this, and then, okay, I help you with this. And I became really straight with it. And ever since, I'm building what I really can give out to the world. And I found that that's a really big gift I can give to many people, when I'm reading things, and when I'm translating things, and put in my own thoughts. And I hear from people, oh, this is so good, because it's so calming. And it's just, yeah, it just, when I listen to you for an hour, I feel the world is good again. And so my real gift is starting to really emerge more and more. And that needs courage, actually. Before, I didn't really need courage. I just hopped around, and I could, with my talents and gifts, I could just fit in and see through. But now it kind of, it takes courage to, okay, I want to do a recording. I want to make a video, and but I'm really out there then, and am I good enough? And then all these things, and then to just do it because I feel, yeah, this is the right thing to do. And even if it's, maybe it goes wrong or whatever, but I need to do it. And then I still do it, no matter what the little voice is saying.
Yeah, it's so wild, those little voices, right? As we're sort of laying down, letting go of who we've been, how we've operated. I did a video about this, I think last week. I had this, I've never been 1 ounce of competitive, and really like this odd voice popping up left and right with this comparison to other light workers, right? I'm like, well, whose silly voice is that, right? I'm like, and when you start to reach into your own heart and and understand what you have to offer. We each have a role. We each have, something, and we don't need to be anybody else. If you're glamorous, beautiful, be glamorous. And if you're meant to lead the charge for thousands or millions, beautiful. And if you're meant to touch one person's heart, beautiful, do it, right? And drop the rest, because all that stuff, all those little voices, like those are days gone by, baby. Those are things we have the opportunity to leave behind. And so I really wish more people were sharing that aspect of understanding that they're doing new things that do take a level of courage and bravery when you're starting to share your thoughts, right? Your heart and how you perceive all the information that's coming in different ways into your sphere, into your realm. And just like sharing it how you're experiencing it. And if you experience it in a way that later you think maybe I was a little off the mark, like own it, right? Share that. That's a beautiful heart process. We may come across as complete asses one day, quite honestly. I see this all the time. And it's like, and then we have the opportunity to own it, either in ourselves or with others. And so I think that's where we're coming to. I'm starting to see more people do that, anyways, that's my little.
This is so beautiful. And I noticed when you mentioned this, and if you are meant to touch the heart of only one, then this is great. And it really touched my heart, because we so many of us want to be more than we are, and we think, the more the better. But this is really, really, really beautiful what you said. And if it's only, it doesn't matter how much, it's important that we really do what wants to be done. And
I believe that, like, I've always believed that from the very depths of my heart, like what one person being touched truly deeply, but it can shift everything. So that's awesome. So you've been, it's funny, your channel, I know why they say that. I don't understand German except super little, and every now and then I'll put on your channel and I'm like, I don't know what she's saying, but I'm just gonna listen, because your heart rings through, your heart comes out in it, and I'm like, I know she's saying good stuff. And so I just like listen, it is very calming and soothing. And so that's cool. But I'm super glad that you are able to serve people who actually speak the German language. How's that been for you? What's that been like, to put yourself out there in that way?
I love that you listen to German, even if not understanding. That's very sweet.
I understand a little bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I always found. It was interesting when I started to learn English. It was very natural for me. And I kind of felt, okay, the German is too limited for me. Also, I love the German language. And I studied linguistics and English and Spanish. But I always felt that the English speaking world is so much bigger and it would be too small for me. And so when I studied English, I knew it was for a reason, but I didn't know which reason. And now in these times where so many interesting and enlightening and stuff is out there, I found that only the German speaking information is not enough. And there are so many English speaking interesting things, and not only interesting, but really touching our hearts and helping us on our way particularly. And so I found, how did it start? And I don't even remember how it started, when I translated something. I know, because I found it should go, there was an information. And so when I find something that really gives me not only information, but an insight, a deep insight, And then I have the real urge to share this insight. And this is really a big urge. And that must have to do with my gift and with my path, because that's what I feel. When I feel the urge, then it must get out. And then I thought, okay, but people don't understand it. So it doesn't help them if I send them the link and say, oh, you have to listen to this. And so I had the idea to translate it. And I started my YouTube channel by just reading from German books I found interesting, and I read little chapters out of it. And then I started this translating, and I always liked most a mixture of simultaneous translation and a summary. So I'm someone I love to improvise. I'm really so good in improvising, and I'm not very good in doing things very accurately. That's just not my thing. And so I felt most at home when I had the English video running, and then I had running quieter, and then I have my translation. And when I found it was too fast, or I want to say a little bit more, I just stopped it. And then I said my own thoughts, previously announcing it, that it's not my own thoughts, obviously, and then going on. So I could do it really in my way, and I could add my insights. And that was actually not only the salt and pepper on it, but it was really, and I noticed from the feedbacks that for people, it's really it's important. It's the important second part. And when I share these insights, which are really very intense sometimes, and then when I share them, I get even more clearer about them, and I really feel they are of significance for the world, for this time now. And I have, because I'm so extroverted, I always felt very much at home to speak. I could speak immediately in front of an audience of 1,000 people. I wouldn't mind. I would feel at home, and that also shows me that's what I'm supposed to do. So I really feel totally at home. And it was in school, even when we had this projects to talk about an artist or someone, and I always loved doing it. And then it kind of took me away, and I just talked and expressed what was inside of me, and could take people with me on that journey. And yeah, it's just very natural, and that's what makes me notice that's my path.
Yeah, I love it. I love that, because it sounds like it's been like you had this seed in you for a long time, right? It's funny. So you identify as being very outgoing, extroverted. I'm sort of I'm mostly introverted. And when I'm talking about it, like I'm talking about, do I recharge, like, do I recharge alone? Yes. Or do you recharge around people? So I love to be with people when there's meaningful conversation going on. That's why I love these conversations, right? Um, for years, I remember being a young kid and wanting to be like on stage and be theatrical, right? And it was always like, I'd get up there, I'd be all ramped up, and then I'd be like, and then I'd like fumble it, right, or something, because I would get a little nervous. And that's the thing. Sometimes that spark, whether a person's introverted or extroverted, like it's these skills that we just like develop. If it's something inside of you, don't let, like, shyness can be overcome. I used to be terribly shy, and and it was really comical sometimes, but that ability, like you say, if somebody called me to speak in front of a group, as long as I can show up as me, we're golden. We're golden, there's no more putting on, right? No more putting on a mask, a heart mask, just show up and speak from your authority, your presence. That's what I love that. I love when people do that, because even a lot of people who are extroverted, I think they still have that stage fright, right? They may get a lot of energy from people, but they maybe aren't confident. So beautiful. It's beautiful. And your confidence is, like, whether you developed it over years or you've always had it, it's very, that's what's allowing you to do these things, like go out into the forest and just suddenly start connecting with people, right? That confidence of your own like self, Did you ever struggle with that?
Oh, a lot in a way. It's really interesting because it seems like a paradoxon. So I think the confidence is there, and it comes like it comes from a different source than these 3D psychological things like a lack of self-worth or the need for acceptance or and these things they kind of crashed sometimes. It is because I want to go out, and my confidence is there from this kind of more divine source. My kind of, I feel I'm very deeply connected and strongly connected to my I don't know if you call it higher self or my real self, my eternal self. It's so there all the time, and it has always been like this. But I couldn't have named it before. And
Yeah.
but there's still this 3D psychological self, which is kind of freaking out sometimes and feeling very not loved and feeling not worth, and no one listens to me. And it's really weird because it now I know it can be there, and I don't need to be bothered, and it's still there. I have still these moments, and but
Yeah.
it's getting kind of smaller, and it's not significant, but it's
Yeah.
both there. There's a confidence and there's a total, oh, it's both. But the other
Yeah.
thing is so much bigger, and it's getting less and less significant. The other thing, it can just be there in the background, and it feels like it might dissolve someday, but I don't mind even. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to.
Yeah. It's just like it's like when you go and hang out, right, with somebody it's kind of like having that shadow friend, right, who they're the ones who always are a little bit Debbie Downer, a little bit like, are you sure? Yeah, I don't know if you are as great as you think you are, like we all have had somebody in our life who maybe didn't believe in themselves, and then therefore made everybody else, they tried to get everybody else to doubt themselves as well.
Yeah.
Well, at least I have. I can't say for everybody, but so I'd love to lean in a little bit more to that. You shared something, and whether you want to discuss that specifically or not, but you've had some gatherings with people, right? And so that's that old voice, that old line of, oh, when you're meeting new people, right? It's easy to do online, right? We go out and we're not in the same room. At the end of 30 minutes or 60 minutes, we can close the computer down and, have our little huff and puff if we're uncomfortable or something was triggered in us, or we, didn't feel good about the conversation, right? But when you're directly with people, like in the room with them or in like close vicinity, and all of your old patterns start coming up, and we have this big vision, a lot of us, for this new, beautiful world, this new earth, this new way of coming together. And I feel, this is my strongest feeling, is the reason it is local. We had so much work to do on ourselves that we almost, to do it in group really locally would have been very hard, would have extended the process. Now we've developed some skillfulness around understanding ourselves. And now we get to bring it back together in community and walk our talk, really live it. And that's, even as I'm saying it, because I spent a lot of time in group, like spiritual communities where, there was a lot of ego, a lot of, and even when we tried from the best light to navigate that, there was still so much that just could never come undone. And as we move into these higher frequencies, and not everybody's on the same page at the same pace, right? So how skillful we are. I guess that is the word. It just keeps coming up for me, that level of courageousness. Can you get out of your own way? That's been my lesson this week, is taking the idea of serving back, because for a while it was you in the 3D sort of realm. When you serve, right, it was sort of coming from a savior or a martyr's kind of mindset, right? I'm going to fix everybody, right? So they'll feel better and my life will be better because they'll be happy. And now it's really like, I can just come from love, because I look at you and I see an aspect of me, and it's just, you want to support, right? It's support. I don't know if I'm making myself clear at all, but it's really the opportunity to now come together in real life, face to face. Somebody said the other day, belly to belly. I love that. Like, belly to belly. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, right? Big hugs, right? I'd love to hear, as you've been working with people more locally, like how have you, both yourself or what others have shared with you in your group, like how does that feel when you're coming from a higher consciousness? Like, what does it really feel like for you? And sorry if I go too vulnerable with the questions, like you just take it at your pace, right?
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful question. It dives directly in. And I remember when it started, we started having, so I joined a group that was already there, a local group, and we had walks in the forest because it's just around the corner and where we live in this neighborhood. And we had walks in the forest, and I walked and I heard them. It was almost all of them were from the perspective of complaint, of pain, of victim, and I thought, oh dear, okay, this is not the right group for me. But and it was still this big voice in my heart saying, just walk with them, just listen, and maybe without being righteous, which I love to be. This is really my small, but I know how it works, and this is not the time where I'm learning by doing, and where it's kind of life in a way. So I don't say something which I then regret, and then this doesn't happen anymore. It is kind of, I watch myself talking, and then I notice, oh no, that's a bit too sharp, this tone, this is too righteous. And then I can own it, as you said so beautifully before. I can own it, and I can say, oh, I'm sorry, but of course I understand that your pain right now. And then I find, all of a sudden I find the magic word, I find the magic sentence when I go into my heart and be in love, without reinforcing this victimhood. And I all of a sudden a sentence pops out that really lands, and then this person can really say, oh yeah, you're right, it doesn't make sense, and then they kind of stop complaining. Or so I could put in very little seeds there in these first encounters. And I was really startled about, because I thought, wow, that's a new me, because I just allowed this to work through me, because it's important right now, because that's what I'm here for. So I better step aside and let this work through me. And that was the start. And then I found all of a sudden the right sentences with this invitation. And I had so many groups where many complainers were, but where also many little pearls were, positive people, which kind of, and they kind of, I found them. And then I sent out this invitation to all these people from all these different groups in this neighborhood. And I said, hey, whoever feels that it's time to turn towards what we want to create, rather than fighting something old, is very, very warmly welcome and invited. And then that was the start of this all. And it was such a beautiful resonance. So people answered, either they didn't answer at all, so either they didn't respond at all, or they responded, wow, yeah, I've been waiting for this so long, and finally. And and yeah, of course we want to be there for each other, and not only see where we can find something that we need, and that's how it started. And then this first meeting was really magic. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That like when you finally find, you don't know anything about each other, but you kind of know the important things, right? You know that the heart's in the right spot, and you guys will navigate together somehow, some way, into whatever mischief and joy you're gonna find yourselves in.
Exactly.
You know, God, please let us all start having some fun, you know, together again. Please. I'm dying for it, you
Oh
know.
yeah, playing.
Oh, but well, that's wonderful. I gotta take a little sip here.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that some of the people who were coming, or who also will come to the next meeting, who couldn't make it that time, I think many of them don't really have an idea of how challenging it might still become, and they still, many still, I think many know that it won't ever be like before, and that we need to start something new. But I think many don't really know what to expect, and then it's so good that we got together before. It's really,
Yeah.
someone is really rattling the cage even more. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. It's so interesting because so I've lived in my home, right, for 16 years, and everybody has very large lots, you know, it's all, everybody's kind of on about an acre. I don't know what that equivalates to in Germany, but like in a metric system, but they're big lots, right? And so we don't have to know each other, right? And most of us don't. I've been here 16 years, and I've met more people in the last year. And like my direct neighbors across the street, right? All of a sudden he's like, do you need some plants? I have so many plants, right? And so now I have these big, gorgeous plants in my house that I never would have bought for myself. And he's like, every time he has something from his garden that he doesn't need, I'm like, I got this beautiful arch that I can put, and it fits just perfectly between my two garden boxes, right? And like wherever anybody is in this, and I fully believe that whatever choices a person has made, I believe we're all rising. We're all rising. We're all coming up in our energy, in our expression of love. And I don't know how to say it. And so the very simple opportunity to look at people. Yesterday, I went to, I'm going to this event in Miami in next week, or like in a week and a half for the solstice. And I needed to go to my favorite gem store, like crystals and rocks, you know, and went over there, and I'm like, there's a mall close by. I never go to the mall, even before all of this, like once a year, maybe, right, to get a pair of shoes. And so my wife was over there having a holiday, her at her workplace. They had all gotten together that day, and so they were all getting together, having like a meal, and and like some of them have made one choice, some have made the other choice, right? And but it didn't matter, because these people were coming together with more love than I've ever witnessed in them. And it doesn't matter. And the ones who really wanted to pick a fight, you know, they had their opportunities. They would find somebody to be contentious with, you know, and be negative with. But for the most part, like the whole vibration was just higher. And so like for me, that encouragement of, yes, systems are going away. None of us truly knows what's going to happen, right? Things do need to shift, and it is going to take time, you know. But the only way that happens is by us just get out of your house, people. Go out in the forest, you know, like go have a meal. I completely crashed their party and didn't even mean to, right? I ended up in the middle of this like work party that I totally didn't even mean to be there. It was completely unplanned for. And and I got to witness something beautiful because I went out, what I thought to go pick up a scarf and ended up in the middle of a group of people. So keep your heart open. Drop your plans. I don't know. I'm just my heart so aches for people to recognize how much love there really is. And I am so inspired. I wasn't gonna cry, but I probably will. But I'm so inspired by you and people like you who are going out and really making an effort. So thank you for doing that. And I hope everybody that watches this takes a chance to, if you're not the one leading it, at least go join when the invitation is there. If your heart feels, don't have to lead, but show up with your heart, however you are that day. You don't even have to be shiny and happy, just start connecting again, So.
Wow, this touches me so much. I've also tears in my eyes. It's these days, it happens so quickly. Whenever someone says a lovely word or a touching word, it is so, oh, it's like, yeah, like worth so much. It's such a precious treasure. And I notice how it's feeding this new world. So every nice thought and every loving thought and loving feeling and loving contribution is kind of worth so much in this. It's immeasurable.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a good place for us to maybe to wrap up, leave people with that. What I'd love is for you to share how people can connect with you. If you've got your channel, is there any other way that people might connect with you or other offerings that you're making?
Yeah, so the best way obviously is via my YouTube channel. And I read every single comment, and it's not so many so far, so it's quite small. So I will find any comment that's there. And it's also possible, of course, to reach me via Telegram. I have a channel where I do these translations as audios. And of course, via email, good old email is still something very, very great. I also wrote a little book in German. In German, you say a Mutmacher, a courage giver. And I plan to translate this book into English, actually. And it's, so these are the ways you can find me.
Courage Giver. Is that the title? I didn't know that.
No, this is not the title. The title is Jump Now, and you can do anything you want.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Jump. And for all of us born in or coming up in the 80s, that we got jump.
The song, yeah.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, thank you, sweetheart, for being here with me today. It's really a pleasure. And I hope everybody gets to see. I hope they saw your light and your heart the way I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being in this world with us now.
Yes. Let's keep playing. All right. Take care.
You too.